Well, we're going to talk about 5 things that you need to stop worrying about. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. Hey, everybody. I am Marcyline Bailey, and you are inside of Stress Talk with Marcyline. I was having a little trouble right before I came online here because my lighting is weird today for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure what it is, but the lighting is funny. So I feel like I'm like covered in a shroud of darkness or something. But in any case, I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad to be with you today. We're going to be talking about things that we need to stop worrying about. And before I get started, I wanted to make just a little announcement. From this point forward, you're going to see a slight shift in my target. As you know, Stress Talk with Marceline has been targeting working women. And I'm going to shift that a little bit. I'm going to shift that to targeting working women who are over 40 and over 50. These are super women who are now in their 40s and 50s who are struggling to avoid burnout because they are overstressed, overwhelmed, and overworked. Thank you for that, heart. And so we're going to be targeting, or I'm going to target women like me, women who are starting to get gray in their hair, starting to get a few wrinkles on their faces, but who also want to live their lives to the fullest. So that is just a little announcement. And so you're going to start seeing a shift, just a slight shift. But I want to get into what we're going to talk about today because this is something that has been, it's something that is very kind of close to me because I'm a person who constantly stews on things. I think a lot. I used to think when I was younger, I used to think that I was, I used to think all the time. I was a thinker. I thought about stuff. And I mean, I would go outside and say, I wonder why that squirrel is running up the tree. Oh, I wonder why the other squirrel jumped in the tree to play with the other squirrel. I used to do that. And so, and then if something was bothering me, I would think and think and think and twirl it over in my head until I got a headache. That's how I was when I was younger. Now that I am older, I find that I do that, but not as much because I've learned some strategies to keep myself from ruminating over things that bother me and focusing on things to the point where it makes me feel bad. So, I want to talk about the things that women like myself who are now over 40 and over 50 need to stop worrying about. Alice, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm really excited about honing in on the people who I think will benefit a great deal from just these talks that we have on a weekly basis. So let's talk about the first thing that we need to stop worrying about. Number one is change. Who when we're one of the things that I notice about young people today, like my daughters who are now in their 20s, they don't mind change. I mean, change is they accept it without even thinking about it. But as I've gotten older, and I know that people who are over 50, we avoid change. We don't like changes. And if we are considering a change or we're facing a change, we like to have plenty of time so we can prepare for that change. But change, I think the thing about change is when we avoid change, it's because we are fearful. We have a fear of change because we don't know what that change is going to mean. Oh, I see. You know what's happening? I tell you what's happening. The sun has come out. The sun is going to shine tomorrow. Okay, that was a bad imitation of Annie. But what happens when we are facing change is we're fearful. We're fearful of the unknown and we're fearful of things that we're not certain about. And so when that happens, when we become fearful of changes that may be happening in our lives or changes that are occurring around us, it does what? It drives our stress levels up. Because remember, our stress level is tied to our need to protect ourselves. The stress response is initiated a lot of times when something has surprised us, something has frightened us, or we believe that we are under a threat. So, when we're facing change and we're fearful of that change, we're perceiving it as a threat. It drives our stress levels up. What that does is it sometimes keeps us stagnant. It keeps us in places that no longer serve us. It keeps us from letting things go that no longer serves us. And what are those things? Well, we may stay in jobs that are no longer fulfilling for us, although we have the skills, the ability, the education, and the experience to move on to something else that is more fulfilling. It may cause us to stay in unsatisfying relationships because it's familiar. It's what we know, but it is no longer satisfying to us. It may also cause us to hold on to memories and emotions that no longer serve us. So the fear of change is something, or I should say, change in itself is something that we should stop worrying about. And and what we need to do is to look at change as an opportunity. Change is a path, opens a pathway to opportunities for us. And if we can look at change in that way, then we can see the vast number of opportunities that that change might bring. So, one of the things that we can do when we're faced with change and we feel that fear is number one, think about what am I afraid of? Really think about it. Don't just, and not just on the surface, let's go down deep and consider what am I genuinely afraid of? What is the big thing that I am fearful will happen if this change occurs? The other thing that we can do is we can create a timeline of our life and we can actually look at all of the changes that we've experienced. And once we plot the changes that we've experienced on our timeline, we can consider how we approached that change. Did we worry about it? Did we stew over it? Did it cause us a great deal of anxiety? And then what happened after when we reached when the change occurred? Did all of that anxiety, all of that worry, all of that concern, did it meet the level of the outcome? Basically, was it worth all that energy? Because worry uses a lot of energy. So, did the outcome of the change really merit all of that expenditure of energy? So, we need to stop worrying about change. Another thing that we need to stop worrying about is saying no. Saying no. When we avoid saying no, it's usually because we want to avoid conflict. We don't we really don't like conflict, right? And so we want to avoid conflict. And sometimes we have a concern that if we say no, it will cause conflict. We think that it will cause others to think that we're selfish or we're behaving selfishly. Also, we may think that others may have a low opinion of us if we say no. The other part of that is if we say no, if we don't say no to something that we really want to say no to, it can cause us to build resentment. And resentment may build over time, or it may be immediate. If we say no, say yes to an event or to something that we really didn't want to do in the first place, we can become resentful. It's okay to say no. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry what others think when we say no. It is okay to say no. Why? Number one, time is precious. And if you are a woman who is over 40 or a woman who is over 50, we know that every moment is precious. It is precious time. And we want to spend that time with people we enjoy, doing things that we love, and building memories and experiences that we can hold on to for the remainder of our lives, right? So we have to keep that in mind. Saying no is not selfish. Saying no is giving self the respect that self is due. I'll say that again. Saying no isn't selfish. Saying no is giving self the respect that self is due. So, how can we say no in a way that we feel comfortable? Well, first of all, we can just say no, no, thank you. I appreciate the offer, but that's not a good time for me. Or, well, thank you for asking me. I have another engagement, or I can't. I just can't. Or, no, I would rather not. And it's okay to be direct. No, I would rather not. Or, no, I would prefer not to. Saying no allows yourself the right to spend your time as you choose. And we have an obligation to spend our time as we choose. So, we talked about number one, the change, that we need to stop worrying about change. Number two, we need to stop worrying about saying no. So, what's the third thing that we need to stop worrying about? Okay, now I'm going to hit the real deal here. We need to stop worrying about gray hair and wrinkles and any other sign of aging that you might be experiencing. When I decided to let my hair go gray, I decided to do it when our daughters graduated high school. When they graduated high school, I said, "Okay, I'm just going to allow my hair to go gray." Part of that was because I was an older mother. I was older when I had them, and I didn't want anyone to think I was their grandma when they were in middle school and high school. So I kept color in my hair. But as I got older, my hair started thinning from all of the processing and the chemicals that I was putting in my hair. And so I made a conscious decision to let it just go gray and to remain natural. And so when you have gray hair, people perceive you differently. They look at you as if you're older. You're old. I shouldn't say older, but old sometimes. They approach you differently. They explain things differently to you, as if you can't hear, as if you need things broken down to you slowly. Sometimes I do. Sometimes we all do. But gray hair is not something that we need to worry about. As a matter of fact, gray is the new thing. Young people are wearing their hair gray. Isn't that amazing? We get it naturally, and they have to dye their hair to get to it. But the other thing, wrinkles. You know, I told one of my best friend, I said, I have these lines around my mouth, and I'm wondering what I can do about it. And she looked at me and she said, Mars, the lines around your mouth just show that you laugh and you smile a lot. That was an amazing thing for her to say to me. She said, I have them too. It was amazing because it turned something that I perceived as negative and perceived as something that made me look older into something to embrace. I have lines around my mouth. And yes, I laugh and smile all the time. The joys that just thinking about how much I've had to laugh and how much I've had to smile in order to get those lines around my mouth brings a lot of joy to me. It really does. And so some people may look at my face and say, oh, she's older. But I look at my face and I see those laugh lines, and it fills me up because it just reminds me that although there have been difficult times in my life, I've had a great deal of things to laugh about and to smile about. So as we get older, and our hair starts graying and we start getting laugh lines, crow's feet around our eyes and lines on our mouths and maybe a few wrinkles here and there. We shouldn't worry about it. But what we can do, instead of worrying about the natural signs of aging, we can focus on staying healthy, staying as healthy as long as possible, so that we can live longer. And we know that our life expectancy is much greater than it once was when our parents were our age. People are living to be past 100 now. And so you want to be healthy. So embrace the aging process, and stay as healthy as you can during the aging process. Try to maintain low stress levels, and that's what I'm here to help you to do. And become active in a community of women like you, women who are over 40 or over 50, who are in similar age group, so that you can enjoy things together. So we need to stop worrying about those signs of aging that we can't hide. We can't hide, right? So let's talk about number 4. The fourth thing that we should stop worrying about. How about stressing over little things? Now, I did mention that we want to maintain low stress levels. If we maintain low stress levels, it keeps us healthy. It keeps us healthy emotionally, mentally, as well as physically. But oftentimes, it's the little things that cause us the greatest amount of stress. And if you've ever downloaded my ebook, Stress is Personal, you know that I talk about aggravating little things. And I coined that phrase because of the sand gnats that we have here in Southeast Georgia. The sand gnats come out of the ground in the early morning and in the not in the early evening. Yes, in the early evening. They come out of the ground and they swarm all over the place. And they're horrible little things. They're horrible. They look like little flies. But they're horrible things because they get all in your face and your eyes and your mouth and your nose, on your eye and your ear. They're horrible because they swarm. And it's hard to keep them away. And they are so aggravating. Well, oftentimes, the things that stress us the most are those kinds of things, those aggravating little things. And the more we have to deal with it, the greater our stress levels become. They just go up. So if you find yourself having to deal with aggravating little things and you find that it causes you to experience chronic stress, or you find yourself becoming stressed repeatedly because of them, you want to take a moment and consider your beliefs and your thoughts. What are those beliefs and thoughts that are driving you to be so aggravated and stressed about the little things? What's the book? Don't stress. Don't stress over the small stuff. It's the little things that often create the greatest amount of stress. Another thing you can do in addition to looking at your beliefs and your thoughts, also learn what stress is. Learn what it is and how it works. Understand how stress and the stress response affects you personally, and then develop a plan to reduce the stress as well as manage it and to boost your energy. Because when we are stressed, we expend a great deal of energy. And as you know, that's what I do. That's what I teach. I teach about stress, what it is, how it works. I also help you to find how it affects you personally. And then I help you develop a plan to address it so that it fits in your life and in your lifestyle. So we've talked about 4 things that we need to stop worrying about. The first was change. The second was saying no. The third was gray hair, wrinkles, and other signs of aging. The fourth is the little stuff, sweating the little stuff. And the fifth thing, friendships, worrying over friendships. Now, there are a number of studies that show that spending time with people that we care about and we love leads to healthier lives. It helps with longevity, and it also helps with good health. As we age, we often lose people that we care about. Either we lose them because they've transitioned, or we have friends who move. They move to other places to be closer to their loved ones. I've been told by a number of women who've come to see me in private practice that it's hard to make friends. It's hard. It's like, I don't know how to make friends. And it can be difficult if we don't think about how we did it when we were younger. One of the things that we did when we were younger is we participated in activities that we enjoyed, whether that was baseball, softball, soccer, volleyball, sports, some type of sports, or we participated in something else that we enjoyed, right? An activity that we enjoyed. Then we just started talking to the people who were also there. We created We developed dialogue and conversation, and we found out some of the common things that we enjoyed, some of the commonalities of our lives. And then we decided to spend more time together. Well, the process hasn't changed now that we're older. The process is still the same. Participate in an activity that you enjoy. Begin to talk to the other people who also participate in that activity and find some commonalities, common ground. And then from there, you can choose to begin to spend more time together if you like. But we want to stop stressing and worrying about not having friends because we can make friends even at our age. We can always make friends. And how do we keep in touch? Even with friends or family or people we enjoy who we don't live next door to anymore, or we're not working with, we can call them, we can text them, we can video chat with them, or we can maintain contact through social media. Now, I'm not a big social media person, so I don't really post a lot of things about my personal life. But I will call. I'm a caller. I like to talk. I like to chat. So do those things, the things that you enjoy doing. Call, chat, text. Kids chat, text. Our girls text. We have nieces and nephews who love to text. So I text with them because that's how they communicate. If someone you enjoy text, text them. If it's through email, email them. If you like writing letters and using snail mail, do that. But create a means where you're communicating on a regular basis in a way that fits you and your life. The other thing is to invite people over if you're comfortable with that. Invite friends, people that you know over for game night or movie night. Invite them over to have soup, cook a big pot of soup and invite them over and have soup, have a meal with them. This is a way to cultivate friendships, especially as we get older. And don't forget, talk to your neighbors, say hello to them. Talk to the little kid who's riding their bike down the street. Get to know the people around you. Also, participate in community activities. The public library is a wonderful hub for community activities. Our public library has groups that meet to practice foreign languages. It's just conversational, and you can practice foreign languages. It meets on a weekly basis. Another group meets and plays Scrabble. These are activities that people enjoy. You can also just go to the library and read, bookstores and read. The idea is to place yourself in situations and environments that you feel comfortable, that you enjoy, where you can communicate with others and build relationship. So friendships, the lack thereof, or lost friendships that's another category of things that we should no longer worry about. So that's it for today. For this week, the 5 things that we need to stop worrying about. I'm glad to have spent this time with you. I'm glad you joined me today. We're going to get together not next week because I'll be traveling, but the week after. But you can always catch up with me and what's going on by following me on Instagram and Facebook. Also, sign up for my newsletter. It's the Smiles newsletter because I hope I bring you smiles. You certainly make me smile. Sign up for the Smiles newsletter. You can find all of this on my website at www.mlbaileyconsultants.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Alice. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. And thank you for the well wishes. I'll actually be in Ohio. I'll be in Cleveland. So I'll wave when the plane flies flies over the Cincinnati line there. I'll just wave at you. It's good to see you all. I'm Marcyline Bailey. As always, take good care.